Hi, this is Dr. Sylvia Kratzer with our series on women leaders inspiring transformation. And it is my great pleasure to introduce someone extremely unique. Her journey is unique. What she does is unique. Her entire persona is unique. And before I tell you more about her, we actually connected through a mutual connection in Dubai, a beautiful lady. I am Isabel. And Natalie Bowman, our Couture Color analysis interviewee today, uh, had color analyzed I am Isabel. Now, I had never been attracted to color analysis. I thought this was for grandmothers, whatever, and wouldn't I know what I put on? Of course, I know what color fits me. And then I saw this gorgeous model, I am Isabel, that both Natalie and I connected through, who certainly knows, what looks good on her and all that. But Natalie did her color analysis, and boom, all of a sudden, this gorgeous model went 10 times more beautiful. So I thought, I have to get connected with Natalie and her methodology. What is interesting is once I spoke to her, I realized she fits perfectly into our series, Women Leaders Transforming or Inspiring Transformation, because she has a very own unique story to tell where she, I believe, changed her hair color and went into depression. And before we go into Natalie, I want to say something more as really important. I find that outer transformation is not frivolous at all, but often can usher in inner transformation. There are two methodologies. The one is, sit on the couch and have Freudian analysis, psychotherapy, nothing against it, or meditation and such and so forth. What is less well known is change from the outside in. You change your environment, you change things on the outside, and boom, it can be a domino effect that creates major transformation. With further ado, the beautiful, talented, and so inspiring Natalie Bowman, please would you tell me a little bit, or us a little bit about you?
Yes. So I live in Oregon. I grew up in Alabama in the southern United States. And my original career was in wine. I fell absolutely in love with wine when I was in college. I was supposed to go to medical school, but wine I figured out was science-based. And I think something that's driven me more than anything is passion. And I became extremely passionate about wine and spent about 10 years in the wine industry, which took me to California and Colorado and then Oregon, all because of wine. And I started out as a scientist in wine. As you know, my degree is in genetics. So I, had the basic science degree and then tailored that to wine, and was supposed to go to UC Davis, but decided through a sort of soul searching that that's not what I was supposed to do. So then I was a sommelier in Colorado for a while and became a certified sommelier, and then came to Oregon and became a winemaker. And I thought that that was my path, and I was an entrepreneur and created my own wine label, and realized that a few years into it, that was not what I wanted to do. So it was a complete sort of upheaval of my life, going from something that was so important and I was so passionate, and then I realized that there were other things that I was super passionate about. Mainly is that I wanted to focus more on being in an amazing relationship and potentially having a family, which I've decided that I'm probably not going to have a family, but I didn't want to spend the next 5 years of my life going around and just like that. And so I went on this, I stopped everything in my life and began this journey of completely changing my life from this like edgy sort of like women can do anything that men can do, and began to develop more of an elegant, a more feminine energy, And so that's sort of been my journey over the past few years. And it's so interesting that you're saying like changing from the outside in, because in the field that I was in science and it was frowned upon to dress well because it would get in the way of you being taken seriously.
Yes.
And I saw a lot of my professors really just did not put any thought whatsoever into their appearance. And I always thought in college, like I vowed to myself that that's not what I'm going to do. I just knew from the very beginning that I didn't want to be like that. But I think I sort of fell into that while I was in the wine industry and just got so bogged down in a career.
Can I just quickly interject, because I was a professor for years at the University of UCLA and Pepperdine, and people would look at me and like, it didn't fit with what they considered a professor to be like, you know, and their idea was like frumpy, disheveled hair. I still have disheveled hair, but in other words, kind of someone who is completely, in German we call it blue stockings, basically just like ugly and, you know, not and not even nerdy, because nerdy can be pretty too, or kind of attractive, but it's as though there was a contradiction between your brain and the rest of your body and your femininity, and you had to deny everything else and just be brainy and kind of disheveled or something. And so it speaks so much, what you just said to me, and I'm sure to many others, maybe in the corporate world where you're supposed to be just masculine and kind of trample on your more feminine side. So that's so interesting, which I'm sure speaks to many people, women especially.
Right. Yeah. There's so much in this world that is put upon women, because it's like dress professional, but don't dress too sexy, you know, or you can't dress nicely or you won't be taken seriously.
Exactly.
And I actually run into that a lot, even now. So yeah, I can talk about that forever. So something that I've been learning over the past few years is that it is possible to completely turn your life around, and it's absolutely okay to pursue something for a very long time and then realize it's not for you and to change directions. And
many women feel like, but how, you know, I don't have the resources and all that. And so I find it interesting that you started almost small steps from the outside in, that anyone in a sense could do. You don't even have to, you know, I'm quitting my job and moving to Honduras or whatever. You can just do little things like you did that have such profound transformations.
Right. And I think also you can look at it in a light of, well, I'm just playing with this. I'm playing around and introducing things. And I really do believe that when you set your mind to something and it's what you truly want, if you put it out there, things will come to your aid, things will fall in line, and it might not feel perfect or good the entire time. And there will be times when you feel lost. But I know for me, almost immediately when that change happened for me, I met my fiance like almost immediately after that. And so then the journey of me trying to just find a more, what makes me feel more feminine, what makes me feel more elegant, and then also, how can I bring more feminine energy to the people around me and the relationships around me? And which is how I got in with Isabel. I think we followed both, and you know her too, School of Affluence. I got found her course, and I was just really inspired by a lot that she had to say. And so at first I was trying to just copy a lot of, you know, a lot of the people that I admired with their style. Like I love Dita Von Teese. She's so sophisticated, and I had black hair, and that didn't feel right. And then I was trying to go blonde and like this icy blonde. And I just felt like I was becoming like everybody else on Instagram, and I was becoming a copy. And so I grew up with red hair and decided that I wanted to start to go back to red. And I had this hairdresser that's amazing at what she does, but she doesn't do red well. And it was as soon as I got my hair dyed red, she'd done a terrible job. And I immediately felt miserable, and none of the clothes that I had looked right on me anymore. And I had no idea why. And it took me into an immediate depression that lasted for a couple of months. And I had no idea that that's what it was, that it was linked to my hair. And it sounds silly and frivolous. And I was really surprised to find out that that's what it was. But something as important and big that surrounds for your hair, if you have hair, it surrounds your face and takes up a really big portion of your countenance. And when it's off, it was soul sucking and drove me to feel miserable. And in that drove me to search for, like, why is it that I feel this way? What is so off? I don't understand. Why do my clothes look so bad? Why am I embarrassed to go out in public?
Wow.
I remember I was embarrassed to go out to eat at our like favorite local restaurant because I looked so bad.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I began to just research color analysis a little bit. And then the more that I researched it, of course, with the Google, the rabbit hole, I got more and more into it. And I began to study this course, and then immediately was like, I need to do this for others. Because when I had my color analysis done, everything that I wasn't sure about and didn't know in my entire life, which I can't believe, had no idea. Like, I thought maybe this color looked good on me, but I didn't know. I thought maybe I had cool undertones, but I didn't know. And it didn't make sense because I have warm hair, but cool eyes. And what does that mean? And everybody says if you have blue veins and blue eyes, then you're cool undertones. But when I had my color analysis done through the methodology that I use, it was a light bulb. I'm not cool, I'm warm. I look better in those warm, earthy, rich colors. And because of that, I'm able to create the look that I want, that's my authentic self, that feels right. And when I put things on, it's in harmony, not only with the way that it looks, but the way that it feels. It's so powerful to wear clothes that are in harmony with all of your features and that you know look amazing on you. And it really does change the way that you think about yourself internally, the way that you just sort of feel. And for me, the productivity I do, you know, my inspiration, how I, you know, the thoughts and creative side of me just really all comes together when your colors and appearance are in harmony.
And the interesting part is that since you come from science, and what is still probably a much underdeveloped area of science is color therapy. Nowadays, even red light and green light have different healing modalities on your body, and the color therapy. So there's so much that is not quite yet understood about color and our emotional well-being, and literally perhaps even mental health, depression, but also, you know, where you are in your highest vibration and can tackle life in a way that's conducive with who you really are. There are so many interesting things about it. Like we spoke recently, genetics used to be, genetics is your DNA, boom, that's it, you know. Then in more recent decades, epigenetics came more to the forefront, and it's a massive field. And I believe similar with color, there's so much more that science can actually uncover about that. And so I find it so interesting. You're both in a beauty arena, but it's also a science and psychology and mental health arena. I find that where your work is can be located, if you will.
Right. I mean, they paint prisons certain colors to, like make the prisoners calm, and
Oh,
schools and hospitals. There's so much that color does, and we don't even realize it.
yeah.
So it's fascinating if you can use color to your advantage. If you want to inspire a feeling in someone else, you can wear a certain color if it's in your color palette, or inspire a feeling in yourself. And another thing that I encourage is just to look at colors and feel how you feel when you see them. I think there's a certain underlying human species reaction to colors.
Yeah.
But it's also great to just feel it for yourself, like when I look at a marigold, how do I feel? When I look at, pink, how do I feel? Because everybody will also have their own nuances as well. That's just an individualistic thing. So it's very powerful. And I think it's underutilized with how you can help to create your day and your life utilizing colors.
And a coach that I know, and I think you know as well, she's become quite well known in the US and internationally. She started her own transformation. She was kind of a nurse, also in a science field, and unhappy with herself, unhappy with her life. And she said she put on this couture dress, and the lady said, "It looks amazing on you." And she said, she took it off and she thought, "I can't be that person, but I want to be that person." And she set out to become the person who dresses like that. She completely transformed her life and also her career. And so it's interesting, you not only transformed, your happiness, you felt good about yourself again, but you also, it became the springboard for a career, because this is what you do now professionally with couture color analysis. Tell us a little
Yes,
bit.
yes, it is. Yeah, that is the same thing. And I didn't expect that I would become so passionate about this and get into it so much. But I knew that when I saw what it did to me and how much I benefited from it, that God, it was just something I wanted to share with others. And it inspires me to develop my own my own style and to dress better every day. And I realize that as I dress better, I feel better. And so it's just this like never ending cycle now that occurs. And I get so inspired by viewing other women that have such great style. And it's just really been a joy. And it's also one of those areas that you can keep diving in deeper and deeper and keep learning and keep expanding into all the different facets of it. And what it all comes down to, just like you were saying, it's not frivolous at its very soul. It's about allowing women to really feel empowered, to know, to not be swayed by like a company that's like, we're going to make this color because this is what everybody will like. When you realize the colors that are right for you, you don't just buy anything and everything. You begin to curate and create everything in your life in this manner that suits you and your authentic self.
I've seen sometimes some dresses online. I thought on Asian women, I thought, oh my God, I love that dress. I ordered it and it just looked horrible on me. The color was off and I thought, and it's like, is something wrong with me? But now I understand where this is coming from. Oh, want to say something else because you come from science. And years ago, I did I was sent on a wine tasting tour to the Northern California. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a sommelier, but I learned that if you, let's say, eat a piece of chocolate and then sip that wine, it tastes one way. And that same wine, if you have a piece of cheese first and then the sip of wine. The wine tastes completely different because it activates different taste buds on your tongue. And so there's so much in terms of our physical, whether it's the tongue or the colors, one color combined with another can have a totally different effect. And again, it's not just like dismissive, like mainstream culture would have us say, oh, she is vain or something like that. But just like in wine, different pairings can create such different experiences. And I believe the same goes with our, how we present ourselves. And you spoke on an Insta story recently that last week, I think you had a day where you didn't feel like it. You just dressed in a slouchy, tank top, and your day went completely different. Would you tell us a little bit about that experience?
I did a challenge myself to determine whether or not, or I sort of, my hypothesis was that it did have an effect, how my appearance was with how I thought about myself and things, how I felt and how I acted throughout the day. But I wanted to, being a scientist, of course, have empirical evidence about it, to really, really take an entire day to observe all of my thoughts, all of my feelings, all of my actions. And so the first day I didn't do anything. I didn't put my contacts in. I didn't brush my hair. I didn't put on makeup. I wore like the one pair of sweatpants that I have and an oversized shirt, and just observed myself. And actually it started out not bad because there's so much time and effort that I put into like picking out my outfit and putting my makeup on and doing my hair that I was like, you can get so much more accomplished when you don't do those things. But by midday, my entire inner landscape was so negative, and it was fascinating because I felt not good enough. And I felt like instead of having an optimistic, like, okay, well, I'm looking at this person and they have, this bag or something. And instead of being like, I can also get that bag, I just felt this sense of lack of not being good enough, and just blaming and guilt and all of these really low level emotions. And so and my eating was terrible too. I just ate like bad things for myself, and I wasn't present with my dog or with my fiance. Thank God he just talked me into a bath at a certain point so that I felt a little bit better. But the next day I immediately got dressed and ready to go. And I didn't put anything too fancy on because I was doing things around the house, but I put on heels and jewelry and just put my whole look together. And it was night and day, the difference, how present I was with the people that I interacted with, how much I got accomplished, how my brain worked in a positive way and also an inspired way, and to the point where the amount that I got accomplished was more than twice as much in the day where I got things, where I dressed up. So it was just really hard evidence at that point that for me, I want to live a positive life where I'm helpful to others, where I'm creating, I need to be creative, and where I'm achieving my goals. I'm very goal driven, and how I look and how I dress affects it so much that I would just be hurting myself to not put thought into my appearance and to not take a few moments every day to put on an outfit, jewelry, even just a little bit of makeup, and do a little something with my hair, whether it's up or down. So it was just like, wow, this is something I have got to do for myself to achieve the life that I want.
And perhaps for people like I have a hard time sitting down and meditating. I can pray, but not just meditate. I can't do it. But for me, moving meditation, whether it's walking or somehow exercising, or creating an environment I like or a look I like, it's a form of meditation that's a moving meditation. And I think it is so beneficial. Like people feel like if they sit down and meditate, it transforms them. But there are meditation forms that are, like you say, dressing up or living in an environment you feel comfortable in. It's a form of transforming via, instead of going like, like a warrior and changing your life, there are these little meditative transformations you can take in life. I think that are so profound. There's also studies that, like in inner cities, when a block, a build, apartment building is completely run down with graffiti, broken windows, and all that, drug and crime infested, and the neighbors around there started just on their own painting, over graffiti, repairing the windows, and doing it over and over again. And within even 2-3 months, the neighborhood transformed. The drug dealers left, crime abated. There's something again from the outside in that has so much proven, effect on your own life and the environment. Even crimes in inner city where they keep on re-urbanizing or planting plants, repairing the broken windows, and the crime leaves. It's so interesting how there's an energy about this.
That's really fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it is true. It's like when I was dressed nicely, I thought, I'm not going to just eat a bunch of stuff that I can drop on myself, like when I dress nicely, it's like I'm going to eat in a way that I'm not messing up what I wear, which is actually a really big deal. And I think with getting dressed in the morning, like you're saying, you can make it a routine where you sort of create a meditative environment of affirmations, with everything that you put on, of like, I am beautiful, or I am powerful, or whatever you need to hear, whatever you want to be in your life, I think allowing yourself to create those affirmations and say them while you're taking that time, instead of rushing through and just throwing something on, you're honoring yourself, you're honoring your body. And I think, like we were talking about earlier with the tribes in Africa, how they paint their faces, and it's people have photographs of it and view it as an artwork. And how so many people say, like, oh, makeup here is so frivolous and silly, but it is an art form, and it's a way of expressing yourself and honoring your body, which is the most beautiful thing. I mean, you're with your body your entire life. Why not treat it with love and respect and honor and make it beautiful, just like you would like your home, or anything where you take time and effort into it. If you have a baby, you dress your baby and you bathe your baby and things like that. So do the same thing with yourself, instead of treating yourself like you're just leftovers or something.
And art, whether it's African tribes who create these elaborate makeup, faces, art is a way of voicing yourself, who you are. And I think that also ties in with our psychological well-being. If we are not allowed to express ourselves, it's literally a form of crushing our spirit. And sometimes we can express ourselves in writing or in speaking, but the visual art, just like the tribes in Africa, the artwork that they make their bodies to be, is a form of self-expression and self-affirmation and self-creation. I believe very much in that we create ourselves. That is our mission in a sense. We create ourselves throughout our lives. We could take off into one direction or another direction. We have all different choices. So there's, I don't know, there's a certain art connected with the self-creation and a necessary need to speak to the world who we are.
Right. And changing your outfit is such an easy way to be able to embody who you are trying to create.
Yeah.
You know, if you're like, I want to be, I don't know, if you're in school and you say, I want to be a lawyer, you can put on that suit. And even though you don't have a law degree yet, you start to feel like it. You know, it's
Right.
incredible that change that can occur just from something like that. And it works with everything. You know, if you say, I want to feel more sexy, put on something sexy, and it will begin to. It's amazing how almost instantaneous it can feel,
Right.
which is fascinating.
One more thing before we go into how people can reach you, but just quickly, and I wrote a comment on your Instagram, and on the third day, Esther put on her royal robes and changed the trajectory of an empire. So in the Bible, the book of Esther speaks of Esther, and whether you believe in the Bible, personally I do, or if you just see it as a meta narrative, one of those great myths that are on the root, kind of are at the root of our self-understanding as humanity, these great narratives. Esther, the queen, of course, at that time, her people were going to be killed, and appearing before the king without being called, even as the queen, resulted in your certain death. So she kind of put on ash cloth for 2 days, and on the third day put off her ash cloth, washed herself, put on her royal robes, and appeared in front of the king, which was under the penalty of death. You were not allowed to appear without being called by the king. The king hadn't called her. She put on her royal robes, walked very regally in front of him, and he was very pleased with her, and as a result saved, her people and changed the trajectory of an empire. So if it's in the Bible, or whether you consider it as one of the great meta narratives, put on your royal robe and change the trajectory of your own life.
That's powerful.
Yeah. And how can someone get in touch with you, Natalie? Because I used to think, oh, color analysis, that's nonsense, until I saw your work, and boom, totally different than anything I had ever seen before. And B, I once had gotten in touch with someone like that, and it was exorbitantly expensive. And you are probably within the reach of a lot of women who would like to do something for themselves. And your approach is, I find, different. It's not just, oh, this color, that color. You have a very nuanced approach, which doesn't surprise me. You coming from the background of science, and so you're taking a very scientific approach to that. So how, maybe tell us a little bit, I think you have 3 programs on offer right now,
Mhm.
where they can find you, and
Mhm.
tell
I
us.
have 3 options right now because I want to be able to offer it to everybody who would be interested in it. So starting with a basic level where I analyze women the exact same way every single time. So it's the same sort of analysis with a basic, which is the most basic level. I'll determine your color type, which is a great way to get a basic understanding of the colors that will probably, like, you should avoid. Great, neutrals for you. And and I don't necessarily tell you those things right away, but I have color fans available for you to purchase if you want that one that is really amazing to have. And then the Luxe Color Analysis is the one after that, where I do tell you the neutrals that look great for you, 12 great colors to really start looking at that are great for your color type, and a great explanation of what it means to be your color type. By far and away, the Couture Color Analysis is the most in-depth, because I will show you picture after picture of why certain colors look great on you versus not. And a lot of people are, of course, everyone doesn't fit nice and neatly into 12 different color types. So we explore where you can pick up from other color types and things like that. And that's a 40+ page document. And with that, you actually get physical color cards and the color fan included in the cost. So it's a really great deal. And I also think of it because think about how much money you spend on clothes a year, and then think about the investment that you make in a color analysis, like how much that can save you time and money. So I do believe that it's absolutely worth it. And I have a website called CoutureColorAnalysis.com. And I'm on Instagram. That's really the only social platform that I'm on right now, which is at Couture Color Analysis. And then I also have an email, Natalie at CoutureColorAnalysis.com. You can find the email on either of those things. And I love to just connect with women from around the world. It's something that I can do virtually around the world. So I'm open to just connecting in any questions. And of course, if you want to invest in it, I absolutely believe that it is amazing and potentially life-changing. It definitely was for me.
I think so. And actually on your Instagram, some of your Insta stories are so informative because you can really see in reality when when you talk about it and show the colors, that you are spot on, and it's a scientific approach, not just and so yeah, your Insta profile is so interesting, and your Insta stories are so inspiring and really kind of showing people what you're all about. There's one other thing I was going to say, just slipped my mind, but yes, there was something else I wanted to say. It'll probably come back later to me after we finish. And so tell us again, it's Instagram is what? Tell us.
Couture Color Analysis, and it's CoutureColorAnalys. It's hard to spell.
Yes.
And then CoutureColorAnalysis.com is my website, and Natalie at CoutureColorAnalysis.com is my email.
I just remember nowadays almost everyone buys clothing online, and increasingly more so. So if you can go to a store, you can put it on, see, kind of guesstimate, does it look good on me or not. But just like I bought a number of clothing, I looked so great on this model, and once it arrived, yeah, you can return it if you're lucky. But it's just money saving as well. I mean, the investment in your analysis is minute compared to how much money you can waste buying online in particular, and it's just not right for you. And
absolutely. And you're just wasting resources for things that you're not going to wear, taking up closet space that you're eventually going to just like give away. And
yeah,
there's just so many great reasons to have a color analysis done.
Well, thank you so much, Natalie. It's such a pleasure. I'm so happy that we connected, and hopefully other people, ladies in particular, will see the interview and connect with you, because I think it is life-changing in so many ways, not just your looks, but the after effect it has, the ripple effect it has on the rest of your life, your psychology, how you approach life. Talking about the law of attraction, if you think a certain way, you attract certain things. But if you present yourself in a certain way to the world, you also attract much better or higher vibration.
Absolutely.
So wonderful. Thank you so much. And I'll talk to you soon, Natalie.
Goodbye.
Bye.